For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings.
They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Albert. This is Derek Evans, and I hear they're completely sold out of underwear and Depends for a 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C. right now.
That they are, man. It's a great day right now. Once again, we keep talking about it. Still riding high off the election. Every time I even start to come down a little bit, we just get another good little bump of the MAGA juice coming in with these appointments. It's awesome. I'm excited. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Want to go ahead and give us a quick shout out to DWAC Boomer, Dan Dreyer, and Godward already rocking and rolling over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys. Without further ado, got an awesome guest for you guys. It's Frankie Stocks. Welcome back to the show, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. And real quick, I also want to give a quick shout out also to Annie Cyrus for, again, allowing us to broadcast over there to her platforms as well. And thank you for everybody that is watching over there on her Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere else. Frankie, are you having a good day?
Oh yeah, I'm having a great one. You know, just getting wound up here to come on air with you guys. So been scrolling through the headlines this evening. A lot going on, but I'm still jazzed up about the Tom Homan announcement. You know, I said on election night, I've basically become a single issue voter now, mass deportations. And so Tom Homan, full steam ahead, you know, let's go.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what winning looks like and feels like with Tom Homan. I mean, the vast majority of Trump's choices, like, I'm absolutely thrilled about. There's a couple I've got some questions about Kristi Noem and Marco Rubio, but the rest of these, I'm absolutely thrilled. And yeah, let's not hold off. We won't bury the lead. The hammer of justice is coming. Gates resigns effective immediately after Trump AG pick, and DC is in full-blown panic.
I love it. I've never been this excited over a cabinet pick for any president in the history of my entire life. Like, and I'm not just saying that. I wasn't expecting this. Honestly, I think even those of us who are like, you know, think that we have some information and stuff here and there, like this, I think even caught all of us off guard, and I'm like, in a good way, and I'm pumped, man. I'm so stoked for this. Matt Gaetz is gonna be awesome. And when the media is losing their minds the way that they are, both Fox News and the left-wing media, which is all the same, yes. And we have some RINO senators who are, you know, coming out opposing him now. Like, you know, it's a good pick when all those things are coming together all at the same time.
What are your thoughts, Frankie?
Oh yeah, I think it's a great pick. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting and was hearing from a lot of people that Matt Gaetz was going to be pushed for Speaker of the House, at least among the Freedom Caucus types, and try to get him up there, at least get a vote for it. But I think that this is even better. You know, Matt Gaetz is the type of guy that could come in and just start smashing the weaponization of government against the American people. He can just start smashing it away right away. I mean, he's been one of the only guys in Congress who's been willing to stand up and call out the DOJ, even even with Congress under Republican control, people have been very, very quiet about this. Matt Gaetz has been one of the only guys who's come out over and over again and said, look, we need to pull funding from the DOJ. We need to do something to stop the weaponization of government. So I think that this is also a really good sign for pardoning J6 prisoners and other political prisoners who've been locked away by the Biden regime. I think that this is a good sign on the justice front for sure.
Absolutely. I was going to say absolutely. Matt Gaetz has done so much behind the scenes in terms of trying to help January 6th political prisoners. He's held field hearings whenever his higher up people there would not hold actual congressional hearings in there. He's held field hearings and done all that he could to try to shine light on this stuff. It's unbelievable. I'm super excited, and I agree with you, Frankie. As soon as I saw this, I was like, I was already pretty confident in getting a pardon, but now I'm just like, oh man, the pardon's coming. They're like, there's no way. And I'll tell you something else that not a lot of people have really paid attention to yet is, the fact that Matt Gaetz resigned instantly. Now, part of that was so that they could try to get his replacement in there by January 3rd, so he could be involved in a lot of these things and get another, Republican congressperson in there. But I think that also kind of speaks volumes into the point of how confident he is that come hell or high water, President Trump's going to make sure that his appointment goes through, because some of these RINO senators are already talking about they're not going to go along with it. I don't think he would have resigned from his seat unless he had a backup plan in case that was to come about, because that he already knew. I mean, he's been there long enough now. He knows that some of these swamp creatures, even in the Republican Party in the Senate, were going to be opposed to him. And so that tells me that they've already got a backup plan.
Yeah, and it sounds like they do, because Schiff's already out there freaking out. I saw a total meltdown on ABC from Jake Tapper. They're already losing their minds. And this pick is better than I could have hoped for. My top pick before this was, there was some rumors going around that it might be Ken Paxton or somebody along those lines, like a really strong AG from one of the states, maybe Andrew Bailey. But this is even better, because this guy's also been at the other. He's been on the receiving end of this already too. Gaetz isn't going to screw around. They tried to get the fake scandal on him once before with some underage girl. He's already beat that. Or already proven that was false. I'm actually not sure. I think the ethics investigation might still be open, but it's blatantly false. So again, this guy is a real fighter. He doesn't care what the media has to say. He already shut them down when they were asking him questions. Was this today, or was this a clip that just started circulating with them? He said he had called these anti-abortion protesters fat.
That's an old clip, but it's a classic. It's an old clip, but
yes.
it's truly a classic. It really is. I wish we had it to play right now. That would be awesome.
But yeah, this is the kind of pick that Trump really needs. Somebody that will push the agenda forward, that isn't afraid of a fight. When the media comes after him, he's just going to smack them down in place, and they're just going to have to go run off to their cry closets.
Yeah. And look, one more thing on this Matt Gaetz deal. Before I came on with you guys, I had Fox News on, and they had one of their little panels up there. And just to kind of speak to the establishment right is also crying about this, which is a good thing. You had people on there saying, oh, Matt Gaetz, this is the guy that orchestrated the motion to vacate to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. This guy is a bad guy. He can't be controlled. Yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm very pleased to see the people over on Fox News, the usual suspects, their heads exploding at the thought that the guy that ousted Kevin McCarthy is going to come in and get the DOJ under control.
I love it, man. We're actually, so in the Getter chat, we got Lenny and Wendy DC over here, and Lenny says Trump released the Kraken, and I think that's a great explanation as to what is going on right now in terms of all that. And I want to give a quick shout out to 1776 General and Slinger Buck over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys for being here as well.
Yeah, the General. Yeah, that's a good account. At 1776 the General on X. Check him out. That's a good account.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people still changing their drawers in D.C., New York, and everywhere else these political pundits, the pundit class live, because they all know the guillotine is now over their head. It's official, and it isn't just Gaetz. Trump made another series of announcements today and yesterday. One of my other personal favorites right here, Tulsi Gabbard, the biggest FU to the deep state swamp. Trump taps Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence. Imagine this. They put her on a terror watch list and now she's going to be the director of national intelligence. Again, you want to talk about a giant slap in the face to the deep state? And again, there's a lot of people, and understandably have some issues with Tulsi Gabbard in certain roles. But again, this is right in her wheelhouse, and this is somewhere where, again, she is completely aligned with Trump and the entire America First movement. And I got a feeling all these people are not in there to play nice. They're in there to break skulls and get things turned around, end the corruption, and get these agencies back into the hands of the people.
Yeah, and we know that they are because, like you just kind of mentioned, people are on X, the usual suspects, people like Abigail Spanberger, a congresswoman from here in Virginia, former CIA agent who keeps getting reelected when, thousands of ballots show up on a flash drive at midnight. So, figure that one out. But she's going nuts over on X about Tulsi Gabbard being Trump's pick. She's saying this is appalling. I can't believe this woman, this conspiracy theorist, is going to be put in charge of something as important as our intelligence. So this is a great sign when people like that who've spent their entire lives within this ridiculous, this disgusting intelligence apparatus that has rigged our elections, that has attacked the American people, that has run false flag attacks all over the world, when they're crying about it and they're saying this is the end of the intelligence community as we know it, that's a very good sign.
Dude, you got me fired up, Frankie. I'm not even kidding. Just love it, man. I got to clear the chats really quick, though. I got to give a shout out to FG over here in the Getter chat. One Dover as well. One Dover says, I'm enjoying the panic being displayed by establishment cucks. It's been a long time coming, and that it has. I want to give a shout out to Philip over here in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you for being here as well. And then Lotus new over here to the Rumble chat. Appreciate all you guys. But man, you're exactly correct though. When all these people are against the pick, that's it. That makes all of us love it that much more. And once again, I believe it's starting to shine light on a lot of these people. There's a lot of people, even in the MAGA movement, who has still been like, oh, these people, they're on our side. They just kind of disagree with us on some of these things. But when these people are now coming out against Matt Gaetz for AG, and they're coming out against some of these, and they're doing the ballot for Senate leadership in secret and all these things, I think that a lot of people, even in the MAGA movement, are starting to, or at least Trump voters, are even getting their eyes open right now, because everything we're seeing take place right now, this is what we had hoped was going to happen during Trump's first term. He just didn't have the knowledge and everything, and how all the inner workings worked the first go around. And so really in a blessing, we are truly fortunate that they stole the election from President Trump in 2020, because it gave him time to get all these swamp rats exposed and get them out of his circle, and then get that thing tighter, and then come back. And now he's doing some amazing picks right now overall. And here's the thing, I want to say this really quick. Of course, when you got this many picks, there's going to be a few of them that we don't agree with, or like we don't really understand why he did that. But yeah. I think that President Trump, after everything he's been through with all the indictments, facing 1,000 years in prison, going after his family, raiding his wife's underwear drawer, and then literally attempting to assassinate this man, he has earned a couple mulligans. And so if he does a couple picks, just remember, we don't even agree with their wives on every single thing, but we still love them and we still support them. And that's how we need to be with President Trump, as he makes some more of these picks that we might not agree with.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm willing to extend some grace for a few of the ones that I've had questions about, like Marco Rubio, and, we'll probably get to that in a little bit, that, definitely not who I would have picked for the State Department, but it's not up to me. And again, we don't know what else has gone on behind closed doors. We do know that Marco Rubio, throughout his campaign this time, has been there with him at his side in an advisory role. And who knows, maybe Marco's seen the light. Maybe he's offered a lot of inside information from, when he was a little closer to some of these RINOs. So there could be light at the end of the tunnel for some of these candidates that or prospective appointments, I should say. Something that we don't know about, we aren't aware about. Trump's not a dumb guy, and I really don't think he's going to put somebody in a position this time through that's going to stab him in the back. Loyalty has obviously been a big part of the decision process for him, and I think we're seeing the dividends. The more I think about it now, I wonder if the left and the Democrats posing as journalists in the media, they were just too stunned to react when Holman was announced, and now we're seeing their real reactions. Like they hadn't got over Trump winning the election yet, and now we're starting to see them really snap back and react to some of these picks.
Yeah. They didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to make of it when Homan was announced. 60 Minutes had done that interview with him just before the election and kind of reintroduced him to liberal, polite society. And I think people were so taken aback by this is a real man who will come on TV. Say we're going to kick people out of this country who have absolutely no business, absolutely no right being here. They were so taken aback by that they didn't really know what to say when they heard that he was coming in. But now that these have come out like rapid fire, so now I think that the media is starting to catch up and that they're starting to get into panic mode. Mike, I like your optimism here. I have a really bad feeling about Marco Rubio, though. I don't like Marco Rubio. I don't want to see that guy as Secretary of State. I feel like some of these picks have been, really, really out of establishment land, I guess you could call it. I haven't had a great feeling about them. But then other ones, like we were just talking about, Gabbard and Homan, I've had great feelings about. But like DHS, I don't feel great about that. I feel terrible about the DHS pick. And Marco Rubio, I don't know who another option would be. Like I'm not here trying to push another guy for Secretary of State. I'm not a Marco Rubio guy. Back in 2015, right before the 2016 election, Trump came out and said Marco Rubio is the type of guy who gets bought off. He's the type of guy who Sheldon Adelson could give a bunch of money and he'll do whatever he wants. And now Rubio's, come trotting into the new Trump administration. So I don't feel good about that one. Hopefully I'm proven wrong.
I agree with you, Frankie, on that. And I'll say this about Elise Stefanik. I'm not a huge fan of hers either. I mean, she's definitely a RINO and votes with the left a lot, but she is a prolific fundraiser, and she did a lot in terms of raising money for President Trump in this election that we just had. And I'm not saying there was any quid pro quo or anything like that, but I would imagine that during a lot of that, she probably earned some loyalty with President Trump in terms of helping to bring in tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to President Trump, because she's got a lot of those. She's probably the best fundraiser in all of Congress, and has connections to those. And she shared all that and brought that in to the Trump campaign to help him win that presidency. And like I said, I'm not saying there's any quid pro quo, but obviously they had a lot of conversations and maybe they built some trust there. I'm not for sure. With Marco Rubio, I told Mike the other day, I said, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it'd be hilarious if it happened. Trump waits until Marco Rubio's Senate seat is filled. The first time that Marco Rubio steps out of line even 1 minute, he just goes ahead and fires him. And now we got rid of Rubio and RINO in the Senate, and we get rid of him. And so, honestly, I think that's one of the things that he should be on a very short leash. But I'm willing to give him a chance, and I probably still will never like him no matter what. But I can hold my nose and tolerate him for President Trump.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm definitely not a Marco Rubio fan, but yeah, I'm willing to give him a little grace. We'll see what happens. I trust Trump knows what he's doing, and you're right. Keep him on a short leash. Stefanik, I'm less worried about because honestly, as UN ambassador, basically what I want her to do is just go in there and announce, hey, guess what? We're reducing your funding to essentially zero. We're going to pay our yearly dues to maintain our membership so we can come up here and yell and laugh at you guys every time something stupid happens. But otherwise, we're not funding the bills. We're not funding the UN's worldwide operations anymore. And you guys threatened, last time Trump was in office to go move your headquarters to Europe. I think that's a good idea. You should probably act on that.
Yeah, I would love to see somebody get sent into the UN as a wrecking ball and just completely destroy America's relationship with the United Nations because it's just such a disgusting organization. They just had a meeting a few weeks ago, right before the election, about how they're going to usher in their Great Reset agenda, their 2030 agenda, whichever name they want to give it at the time. And of course, they're always in cahoots with the World Economic Forum. So I would love to see somebody just be sent in as a wrecking ball to destroy our relationship with the UN and send them packing to Geneva or something like that.
Yeah, to the point, Frankie, I would love for him to find some oil rig worker, some truck driver, somebody from that industry. Has nothing to do with politics. Just this pissed off American, and send them to the UN wearing steel-toed work boots and their flannel or whatever, and tell them to go in there and just cause chaos, man. Do it until they kick you out of there. And that's what I would do if I was in that position, because we want to end those relationships anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wonder if we might see some things like that, especially, again, if they're in total freak out mode and condemning every action Trump takes as he gradually dismantles their globalist empire. Yeah, we may see some fireworks. Frankie, what do you think of Pete Hegseth that was nominated yesterday?
Look, I don't like that pick at all. I've never been a Pete Hegseth fan. You can look up video clips all over the internet of the guy talking about how much he loves the Israeli and Ukraine war efforts, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a fan of the guy. I don't actually really understand the pick at all. I was kind of dumbfounded when I saw that. So that's one that I totally totally could just toss in the trash and no big deal.
Wow, I'm surprised, Frankie. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him. I've just seen some of the, like the videos of speaking out against DEI and the woke stuff and all that. And I think the bigger story here, once again, I've talked about it the other day, is that Trump didn't appoint any of the people higher up in the military. So obviously he does not support or does not trust the people higher up in the military to take someone who's outside that realm and put them into that position. So yeah, I mean, I didn't know any of that, but really quick, I want to give a shout out to DWAC Boomer. Maybe he's a person we send to the UN because he is a truck driver owner of 40 plus years, and he'd probably be the perfect person to send in there and get in there and get it done. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out.
We'll nominate him on RFK Jr.'s nomination page.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, with Hegseth, like, I understand why he was picked, because he's written 6 books, basically about the military, either service related, but his last couple, and I'm blanking on the title, sorry, but was about ending the wokeness in the military, restructuring it back into something that our country needs that would be, primarily defense oriented, not fighting all these foreign wars. And I wasn't familiar with his mass support for what's going on in Ukraine or wherever else. I mean, it sounds like that's going to be coming to an end sometime towards the end of January anyway, considering both Putin and Zelensky are already talking with Trump. And I'm sure that conversation is basically that we're not funding you anymore, Ukraine, and Russia. We don't want anything crazy here. You two are going to figure out something that makes everybody happy, and we're going to stop the killing. Got one other one to bring up here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Another one of my personal favorites. And what I love about the last few days is it's just been leftists in the media just watching them set themselves on fire, watching them self-immolate over everything that Trump does now. So we got this. We got Elon and Vivek forming the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Well, any thoughts on that, Frankie?
Oh, well, I think the name is awesome. There's, Doge, the crypto shot up after that was announced. And then I was looking on the exchanges today, and there was like a meme coin, another version of Doge, which they actually called Department of Government Efficiency. And that coin shot up like 20,000% or something ridiculous overnight. I was like, dude, why couldn't I have found that last night and put $10 on it? I'd be like halfway rich right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
But really, I love the idea. They kind of like the meme. You're going in with the chainsaw, like the Malay guy in Argentina. I know people have their problems with him, but the meme is awesome. And that's what I would love to see these guys do. The government is just gigantic. It's disgusting. I've worked, not now, but I've worked in local government, and the waste and the ridiculousness that I saw there. I mean, I just imagine that must be like 1% of what you get when you work in the federal government. So I would love to see, really at all levels, government just chopped away at the knees. And so hopefully that's what these two guys will do. I think they're both undeniably extremely smart guys.
Yeah. Well, and they both have reputations previously for being cost cutters. I mean, Elon went into Twitter, eliminated 80% of the staff, leaned them out, got through some hard times, but now it's back and better than it's been, ever. And same with Vivek. He when he was in the pharmaceutical industry, another thing he did is go in and streamline a lot of these companies to make them profitable and have them focus on developing new technologies. But yeah, I heard something kind of interesting last night, or maybe it was this morning, but anyway, it was talking about like what they could do and, just what this could bring to our country, because, Trump again wants to do massive tax cuts, possibly eliminating the income tax. If you have these two go through first and eliminate waste, fraud, abuse, unnecessary government departments, all that, they can cut. I think this guy's number was like 1.5 trillion from the total yearly spending of just uselessness, which again, there's way more than that we already know about. That right there could offset what they actually collect off the income tax with the other streamlining and changes they're planning on making. And then we can support the federal government just with the new tariffs.
That'd be incredible, man. And that's what it's supposed to be as well. And I'll tell you, I saw something last night and it finally hit me as to why we all love Elon Musk so much. He made a post and said something along the lines of, at the end of it, as yes, they're going to have a record board, a public record board for the dumbest, most ridiculous things that our government has been spending our money on. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, that's something like me and my buddies. Like, so like if the three of us was talking to get to about, and we were able to be in that position, I'd be like, dude, that'd be hilarious. Let's do that. And that's what Elon Musk is going to do. So that's one of my favorite things about him. But no, I'm super excited about this position. I think it's going to be awesome to go through. And I'm hoping that they will also try to have some sort of, how we had the Twitter files, sort of government files where they uncover not only the waste, fraud, and abuse, but if they could get their hands on some of the communications and the following the money as to who was getting, kickbacks and everything like that associated with this money. So, for instance, I saw some the other day that we've been paying like millions of dollars to host Drag Queen Story Hour in other countries. Why? We shouldn't be doing that anywhere, but the fact that we're doing it in other countries, we spent $1 million to do a study in if helmets and seatbelts are actually effective and make people more safe in Ghana. We've already spent millions of dollars and years of studying that here in America. So guess what? Yeah, I can tell you for free that it's safer to wear a seatbelt and a helmet in Ghana. So you can save your money. So it's just stupid stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's probably because somebody's getting a kickback of some sort. And I'm hoping that they can kind of figure that out at the same time as they're getting into all of this, that they can also trace the kickbacks and expose some of these fraudsters.
Yeah, most of this government spending is just giving a payday to somebody that, you have some guy out there that you want to give money to. And so you give him a grant and then you never have to pay the money back, blah, blah, blah. I want them to do exactly what you just said, open all the books, release all this to the people, because even though, people say, oh, you can FOIA, you can file a FOIA request and they have to show you, that's not the same as being told, look, this is what your government was spending money on. This is what your government's doing. That's not digging through thousands of pages full of crap until you find something and say, oh, wow, that's a bad thing they spent money on. I mean, this is like laid out like, look, this is exactly what the government's been doing. And I like that idea of the board, too, of the top, the most ridiculous board, because they need to be mocked. Like the people in our government have to be ridiculed and mocked so that people know that these people are idiots and this country's been run and ruled over by idiots, and don't let it happen again.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. We don't need to be sending money to scientists to study the sex life of rats on cocaine. If you're really that interested in it, go find some private dollars for that, or gender studies programs in Pakistan. Again, total waste of our money. But one of the things they have already talked about is a 24-hour day or declassification office that will continue to pull documents from the CIA and everywhere else and bring things to Trump's attention so he can use his plenary authority, say, yep, declassified, or release it to the public. It's time to air all the dirty laundry, stop all these secret programs, everything they're hiding behind our back that is not directly related to our real defense as a nation. Like, obviously, we don't need to be spilling secrets about our nuclear program, things like that, but anything that's unrelated or abuses that have gone on behind the scenes and that have been covered up, like this whole congressional payoff fund for all the women that they've sexually abused, and probably little boys. Like, all of that should be made public. Where do these payments go? This is our money. It's the people's money. They don't get to hide behind classifications and other garbage just because they're elected officials. They work for us. So it's time for some truth and clarity. And if something rises to the criminal level, well, you know what? I guess it's time for some arrests too.
All right, so this was not on our topic, our list of things to discuss, but I've seen some people talking about it in some of the chats, and that's something I think it's worth at least discussing quickly. Is, do you guys think, we don't spend a ton of time on it, but do you guys think that Trump will, or at least attempt to end the Fed? And do you think Ron Paul will be actually a part of this administration and part of this with like Elon Musk and stuff after all? Because I mean, I hope that he is. But what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I hope he does. I want to see the Fed crushed and destroyed and never come back, but I think that we've gotten indications that he could at least take steps in that direction of making this something that people think about and that is feasible and that's widely talked about, because he's talking about starting a cryptocurrency reserve. He's talking about capping credit card interest rates at, I think, 10%, which is huge. To put a cap on usury, I think that that's huge. But those are issues that get this in people's mind, and they start to realize, this country is in this disgusting, twisted system of credit, the Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank, and it's destroying our country, and it has been for quite some time. You know, what's interesting is the other times that America has abolished our central banks, immediately after we've been sucked into some kind of war that's then necessitated, at least in the political sense of things, starting a new central bank so that we can pay off our debts, et cetera, et cetera. So they have a way of keeping these things going. But yeah, I want to see. I don't even know what I'd say if I woke up one day and Trump said we're going to try to end the Fed. I mean, that would just be remarkable.
Same here, man. I'd be so pumped.
Well, you know, it may be coming soon, because I'm pretty sure Elon Musk said that he would work with Ron Paul on that and a number of other issues. And this could be very easy. They could start off with an audit, you know, again, under the Department of Government Efficiency. We want to look for waste, fraud, and abuse within the Fed. We deserve to know, are the books truly balanced? And I think just highlighting to the average person who doesn't follow this, like exactly what's going on with our debt, with the Fed and everything else, trying to rope more people into it to build some pressure to shut it down once and for all. Because I think that would be a great thing, get us out from under their thumb and out from under their control, stop this currency manipulation, and get us back on money that has actual value, back onto a gold standard or something else over time to end their control over our money supply. I do want to go ahead.
Really quick. Bitbot in the Getter chat says he thinks Elon will bring Ron Paul in to at least advise, and I hope that he does. And I'll just quickly say, I don't know if the American people as a whole are ready to hear the truth about the Federal Reserve and what they've been doing this entire time. You talking about unplugging people from the Matrix? Oh my gosh, man! The masses would be getting unplugged at the same time. There would be chaos, but I think it'd be worth it. I still want to see it done. So, absolutely.
Well, you know, we got 4 years to fix this thing. Really, 2. We got to cram through as much as we can in the first 2, build up support so there can be a real red wave of real conservatives, real libertarians, and we can kick all these socialists and RINOs out of DC, any of them that aren't already in prison. Like where this guy should probably be. Breaking. John Thune elected Senate Majority Leader in blow to mega conservatives. Mitch McConnell lackey, Trump hater, and warmonger wins Majority Leader. I don't know how the hell this could even happen. And Frankie, this is something else that you sent me, like where this guy's donations come from. He's connected to BlackRock. And again, this guy is just a loyalist. He is a deep state loyalist, and hopefully we can put enough pressure on him that he isn't dangerous to all of us.
Yeah, John Thune is a deep state war lobby loyalist. His number one donor is AIPAC. He's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of years from them. He's taken a ton of money from a health system called Sanford Health, which mutilates children and actually goes and sends its doctors and its lobbyists into state legislatures to lobby against legislation that would protect children from puberty blockers and genital mutilation because, you know, they're making money on it. So, of course, they go in and lobby against it. He's taken a ton of money from Blackstone. They also appear in his top donors list. You know, they're right there next to BlackRock, private equity, buying up entire American neighborhoods so they can seize control of the housing market, buying up entire commercial development so they can seize control of that too. So he's getting money from all of the worst people that you see when you start ticking down the list of who's funding the deep state and who's funding the career politicians. So, like, this is a Mitch McConnell protege. If you recall back over the past couple of years, as Mitch McConnell has had these meltdowns and he's frozen up and things like that, and he's had to be walked away from the podium, John Thune has been the guy who's been brought forward to fill in for him and speak for Mitch McConnell. So the odds are John Thune has been calling shots, you know, as a proxy for Mitch McConnell for quite some time now. So this is really, I think, the same horrible, maybe even worse, because he's younger and he's going to be able to be in front of the press more. So maybe even worse of a Senate sabotage crew that we're going to have over there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if we want to drain the swamp, it starts with people like John Thune. I mean, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. We all talk about draining the swamp. It starts with people like John Thune, and these spineless jellyback RINOs representing us in the U.S. Senate stabbed every one of us in the back, including President Trump. Because guess what? Did you vote for Mitch McConnell? last week? Did you vote for John Thune last week? Did you vote for Cornyn last week? I didn't. I voted for President Trump to actually turn around and actually make some serious changes. And then these scumbags in a super duper double secret ballot turn around and go in here and elect this scumbag to be the new leader. So at the end of the day, it's going to be roadblock after roadblock. And a lot of these things will probably be things that we never even see out in the public eye. They're going to be doing everything they can to fight against President Trump behind his back because status quo is good for them. And shaking all that up is going to mess up their gravy train. He's got pictures everywhere of Zelensky and all this. He's probably getting kickbacks from some of the money we're sending to Ukraine. It's a terrible choice, and every one of these senators need to be held accountable for allowing this to happen in secret.
Yeah. Again, you're exactly right. Like, the people just sent a message that we want to get away from the swamp, away from the rhinos, and away from the deep state. But instead, we have this corpse clinging on to power. We've got to change things. I mean, I'm just hoping that Trump really does declassify the Epstein list and the Diddy list, and Thune is on one of them, because we need some leverage. We need to push some of these kind of weasels out that are going to stand there in the way. Because again, we know that the dinosaur media will get behind these guys, prop them up, and make them the hero. That's, stopping big, mean bully Trump from getting his racist, sexist, bigot agenda through. That's all we're going to hear. They don't have anything else. They don't have any real reasons to stop it other than we're going to break all their toys and end all this chicanery that's gone on behind the scenes for decades.
Yeah, all of these guys like John Thune, they all want to be known as that, the noble Republican who they say nice things about him on NBC. Kind of like a Liz Cheney of the Senate. That's how these people want to be seen. They want to be like the corporate media to say, oh, he was always one of those nice Republicans. He was one of those reasonable Republicans. So this is exactly, what we're going to see out of this guy. The same type of Mitch McConnell, Liz Cheney type of behavior, 100%.
There's one word I do not want to hear for the next 2 years. And we're going to hear it over and over and over, so much so we're going to be sick of it. And it's because of people like John Thune leading our Senate. But there's one word I don't want to hear: bipartisan. We're not here for bipartisan BS right now. They don't give us that same opportunity. They don't extend us reach across the aisle. The Democrats only want to reach across the aisle when they're on the wrong side of the aisle. They ram everything straight down our throats when they get the opportunity to do so. Remember Obamacare during that 2-year term of Obama when he had control of everything? They didn't care it was unconstitutional. They didn't care that it was going to mess everything up. They didn't care that it was even going to cost them the midterms. They knew that they wanted to ram it through, and they did. And so I don't want to hear bipartisan at any point over the next 2 years, but we're going to hear it over and over and over. So every time you hear that now, you're going to think about this conversation and how terrible and frustrating it is to have to listen to bipartisan. Like, I'm not here to make friends with these people.
Yeah, remember they use Nancy Pelosi and was it Harry Reid at the time and Obama. They used their little band of weasels to ram this through. Remember, Scott Brown got elected to stop Obamacare. Instead, they used procedural maneuvers and reconciliation in ways it's intended to be for budgets. They use it as intended to ram this through because the people tried to send a message. And here we are, however many years later, still living with this, still having to pay for garbage we don't want on our health insurance, and increasing people's prices by 2 to 4 times depending on what state you lived in. I actually, when this went through, I actually worked in the insurance industry, and it eliminated all of our affordable policies, because now all of a sudden you had to pay for sex change and other garbage that wasn't on there before that used to be elective to add to a policy. And they got rid of the kind of insurance that, if you're younger and healthier, they used to have catastrophic only insurance that made it totally illegal. But basically the idea with this was you pay an extremely small amount per month. If you go to the doctor because you're sick, you got to pay just the negotiated rate, whatever the price would be, negotiated by your insurance. Down. But the idea was, if you did have something major, you need surgery, something like that, you had like a $2,000 copay, and then they paid 80-20 up to $100,000 and 100% up to $1 million. But anyway, all that got bumped out of the door because of Obamacare.
Yep.
And yeah, we can't allow them to use procedures to halt Trump's agenda. And there's no reason to be bipartisan. These people have been calling us fascists and Nazis for the last 10 years. I don't see any reason at all to work with them.
Yeah, and they've been attacking us. I mean, you got to remember, a lot of these elected officials on the Democrat side are the ones that's in the media saying, if you see Trump supporters out somewhere, get in their face, go get after him, sort of thing. That sort of rhetoric. I want to give a quick shout out to the general over here in the Twitter chat now, and the Georgia gal. And then Ginger brings up a good point. Ginger says, can't be reasonable with the unreasonable. And I agree with that 100%. And then the general says that this is war. There is no bipartisan. And I agree with that 100% as well. We are literally in a battle for the future of this country, and we should not be attempting to do any favors with the people we did not declare them our enemy. They literally declared us their enemy after they stole that election in 2020, and how they've been weaponizing the government against all of us conservatives over the last 4 years. They literally have declared us as their enemy. So why now would we turn around when we have the upper hand and extend any grace to them? I'm sorry. I'm not a turn the other cheek kind of person. I'm not in that mood today. I'm in the mood to get out here and get some righteous retribution. And that's what we need.
Yeah, these are people who are weaponizing the state. People like Tim Walz, who are weaponizing the state to take children away from their parents and castrate them and mutilate them and put them in foster care with a bunch of sex offenders who then traffic them around to other perverts. So this is who these people are. This is their official party platform, their official program, the legislation that they're pushing. And anyone who's associated with the Democrat Party, and of course, people like John Thune, a lot of Republicans as well, they're all standing behind this. They're all condoning this. These are bad people. They need to be driven the hell out of government.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got another victim of government, I'm fairly certain here. Grand Political Theater. FBI raids home of Polymarket CEO. Seizes phone, seizes electronics.
What?
I wonder why they went after him all of a sudden. Can you guys think of any reasons?
I'm excited to hear from Frankie on this, because I did not even see this story earlier. I did not know this happened. This is I'm hearing it for the first time. So maybe Frankie knows something about it. I'd love to hear his take, because he knows a lot about this stuff.
No, I think this guy upset the general political narrative and the ability of the pollsters and of the corporate media and of the parties to come in and say, this person has 55% support. There's no way this other person's going to win. I mean, they've controlled the narrative. They've really rigged elections through fake polling and manipulated polling. And then, of course, when they want to actually go in and physically rig elections with ballots, et cetera, they can then just mirror the numbers that they get in their fake polls. So I think that this Polymarket site was saying from the very beginning, I think, Trump's either going to win or he's very, very good chance of winning. And so this was what I looked at. And I kind of wish that I had bet on it during the election cycle, but I didn't. But I wasn't like that confident in how it worked. But it is a really cool concept. But no, I think that really, really helped disrupt the narrative they were trying to set, because you could go to Polymarket and you could see what normal people were thinking was going to happen, and they're putting their money behind it.
Well, yeah, and you could see tracking in basically real time. You could see Kamala Harris falls flat after her interview on CBS. Everybody thinks she's a complete retard after they watch the unedited clips. They could see her fall in Polymarket and Trump go up. It's immediate reactions. And that was even with a few times some large liberals coming in to make certain bets to try to shift things around. Or I don't know, maybe it was really liberals all over the place showing up when they had that fake Iowa poll come out, and all of a sudden they thought she was going to sweep the swing states. But yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. This helped break the narrative. Right now, they can get away with calling, Rasmussen and Atlas Intel polls like that are more accurate. Oh, they're just a bunch of right-wing extremist polls. Their results are nonsense, when in reality, these were the closest ones we had to where the election actually turned out. But again, they'll use their bully pulpit with the media, their Democrat operatives masquerading as journalists to get out whatever the narrative happens to be. And it makes it a lot more difficult when you have Polymarket and other betting markets that are all showing Trump way ahead while they're trying to lie to us and make us pretend that, this brat that fell out of the coconut tree is suddenly like the most popular person on earth.
Yeah, the polls have always been completely fake. And so, like, when you go onto that Polymarket site, or there's a couple others that are like it, but you go onto the site and you look at it and you see 75% of people think that someone's going to win an election. It really puts it into perspective because the media does such a very, very good job of making you feel like you're alone and you're the only person who thinks this if you're going against the narrative that's being set for you. So it's kind of like X being opened up to free speech and the free flow of information. It's just another thing that you can look at and say, I'm not the only person who, thinks Trump's going to win or thinks that this is right or thinks that this is wrong, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I want to give a shout out to my buddy Ryan Stumbo over here in the Twitter chat. And Ryan says, people don't want to admit it, but these people aren't going to willingly give up power. Our ancestors would have settled this in a much less peaceful way. These people are evil and curious to see who ends up potentially oofed when Tulsi and RFK and Gates start trying to end this. And I have to agree, we've talked about that multiple times on this show about how these people are truly evil. They're backed into a corner. They know, if they didn't know when Trump got elected, they are seeing it right now with his cabinet pick, say he is coming after them this go around. And these people do not willingly give up power, especially when their life is on the line, or at least, their livelihood is on the line. So it is going to be interesting to see what type of chaos they try to orchestrate to try to prevent a lot of these things from happening. Nothing would surprise me at this point. I'm surprised they didn't already try to even harder to get us into a world war of some sort. I would not be surprised if we don't see another summer of love and might even start, might be the winter of love. Who knows? But there's going to be, I think, some chaos and some chaotic things taking place as these people try their very hardest to maintain whatever type of power and position that they currently have.
Yeah, I think that as we get closer. Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, I think that as we get closer to inauguration, we're going to start to see them mobilize a little more. Like there's been a few of the more crazy, more devout, nothing better to do left-wing groups stage little demonstrations and things like that. But I think that we're going to start to see a much more coordinated effort to get people revved up and going crazy before the inauguration. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if there is some effort by the Democrats to start a constitutional crisis where they either try to block Trump from coming in or they try to use this case with Merchan, even though everybody says that they're going to dismiss that case in New York. But I still am not convinced that there's not going to be some kind of, last ditch effort to at least create a problem, out of that. I think that the more problems that they can create, the better. Things went too smoothly, too like according to plan almost on election night on through till now for me to think that they're just going to give up and stop. I was saying on election night and people were people that I actually take seriously and like appreciate their opinions. They were getting frustrated with me and were like, why can't you just be happy? Why can't you just admit we did it? And it's like, I just don't see it.
I don't trust these people.
Something ain't right. Yeah. Something's not right.
We're in the eye of the storm right now. I really feel like we're in the eye of the storm. Like there's something coming on the back end that we don't know, and who knows what it's going to be. It could be something we haven't even thought of, because guess what? Before COVID, you never would have in your wildest dreams believed that they was going to release some sort of scam-demic like they did and shut down the entire country and do all of that just to steal an election to maintain power. But they did. Yeah. And so who knows what they could come up with this time with something we probably haven't even thought of, and it's very possible that they do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure what spared us from having mass riots in the street following the election, because we know they had people staged and it would have been easier for them to just go out and do something. At the same time, maybe they really did just get caught with their pants down, and even these leftists had been sniffed so many of their own farts, they were believing it, and they just bought it. They thought Kamala was going to win and weren't prepared to go out in the street and riot. They were they had to calm down in the cry closet first. And by then it was too late to do anything. And maybe it's just now they're getting back on their feet and getting organized. And that is terrifying, because I'm sure absolutely on Inauguration Day, there's going to be protests. There's going to be moonbats out there. Prior to that, I don't know, but you're right. It does feel like the calm before the storm. Like things feel too good right now, the way things are going with minimal pushback. Then again, maybe it is just they're completely overwhelmed, and Trump's going in for the coup de grace.
I'm sorry.
Hopefully.
Before we move on, I'm dying. I'm trying to hold it in, but you just said they sniffed too many of their own farts, and I have no idea. But that's one of the funniest things I've heard in terms of describing these people, because it's absolutely true. And I'm in one of those moods right now, so I'm just trying to hold in my laughter, but I couldn't. So
they believe their own BS. They've been huffing too many of their own farts.
That's great.
Well, I guess I'll have to use that again. Wrong button. Hang on, I got to use that in a minute. Got to get to the story first. Let's jump to this, because somebody that definitely doesn't know what they're doing with Kamala Harris. So the Harris campaign funneled $500,000 to Al Sharpton's nonprofit just weeks before a softball interview with race grifter MSNBC host. And again, I want to remind our audience of who Al Sharpton is. This is one of my favorite videos of all time. Al Sharpton versus the teleprompter. Enjoy.
We must. They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, the show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia. Kim Kardashian and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi, we rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency. And what sequestration has done.
Hold on, before we jump into this, why the general in the Twitter chat says reading is white supremacy.
Yeah, apparently so. There's a whole series of these videos from when he used to have a show on MSNBC back in the day. They used to call it Al Sharpton versus the teleprompter. I don't know if this guy just failed second grade English or what happened, but it's absolutely hysterical. But yeah, she paid him $500,000.
Who was it, man? I just saw a good one over here. Man. Oh, Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat says since Kamala paid him the $500,000, maybe he's now going to pay his taxes. So that's another good
or
one.
at least invest in Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah, Al Sharpton is a freaking moron. You know, this guy has made his millions of dollars over his career, and that's pretty funny about the taxes because this is a guy that they invite up to the White House, and he's allowed to just clown around and do whatever he wants, and the whole time he owes the federal government, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars, a lot of money. But this guy has just been paid his entire life for being black, and now it's as if anyone cares. Like, I can't imagine going out to a rally and be like, oh my gosh, Al Sharpton is here supporting Kamala Harris. That seals it for me. I am voting for Kamala Harris. I want to do what Al Sharpton does.
There's very few people who've got on national TV and has been as racist as him. Like, he is openly racist. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Shout out to Sean over here in the Getter chat. And then, yes, Bitbot was asking, were we talking earlier about the guy from the CEO of Polymarket getting raided? And yes, he was raided today, I believe. Is that when that happened, Mike? Or to your knowledge?
Went down earlier today. FBI grabbed him up, took his phone and a bunch of electronics.
Unbelievable. So
yeah. Sharpton, this race baiting poverty pimp, his days are numbered. NBC is going to be on the chopping block, it sounds like. And not rumor, Jack Posobiec, I think he was on War Room earlier, said he's trying to get a coalition of people together to go buy up MSNBC so they can turn them back into an actual news agency. Let's get one last story in here. We're almost out of time. Maybe we'll squeeze in two. New York City ends program paying illegal aliens upstate hotel stays. So the hammer's coming down. Rumor has it he's also cooperating with ICE finally for deportations. Right now, just for the criminals that they keep arresting over and over again. But they're also cutting off food stamps and everything else. So get ready for some drama up there in New York.
Yeah, I think that this is a big part of why Eric Adams has now had all these cases come against him, because he started, speaking out of turn and asking too many questions about them sending tens of thousands of illegals on buses to New York City. I've actually been in New York City standing there watching illegals getting dropped off or getting brought in. When you go into the train station on Amtrak, sometimes they'll actually be pulling up at the same time on buses and dropping them off. So this was happening all the time. And then I think New York City, well, I don't think, actually I know, New York City has really been marked as one of these drop-off places, not just for migrants from the border who are being sent there, but from all over the world. The IDF was in New York City recently. I had this according to an employee with the City Department of Emergency Management meeting with New York City Asylum and Refugee Seeker Services about bringing in and dropping off Palestinian migrants. So they're bringing in people from all over the world, just dropping them into the mix of things in New York City. I think there's several cities like this. Chicago's another one. But Eric Adams started asking too many questions about this and started speaking out a little bit too much about this, and so now they're gonna cut him off.
Well, Lenny over here in the Getter chat says Mayor Adams, the race pimp of my city in New York, and that is a good explanation of him. He is a protege of Al Sharpton. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's finally just had it too, because you're right. I think this is what brought up the rage, because as soon as he had any pushback on this, when he brought up like how much it was costing him, the crime increase and everything else. I mean, we had a story that I don't think we got to. It's several days old now. That was about how they'd had just in Venezuelan Trinidad arrests up there in New York. It was 467 violent crimes, and it was just in the last couple of months, all related to one Venezuelan gang, the same one that's terrorizing Chicago, Aurora, and parts of Texas. So, he's probably trying to save his own skin. He already knows the hammer's coming down on him. Because he got under the, he rubbed the left the wrong way. So we'll see what happens. But if he appears also to be cooperating and cleaning up his city, at least that's one step in the right direction. But it also says his days there are probably numbered. Frankie, what's the best place for our audience to find you?
On X, I'm really active on X at Real Stocks, STOCKES. So check me out there. I link, pretty much everything that I do. I'll post up on X, and that's where I try to branch everything out from.
Awesome. Yeah, you do a great lot of great work over there. So guys, please follow Frankie if you aren't already. And again, thank you for joining us here tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear.